We're making Aunt Pat's famous cake today. And if you think you can't bake a cake from scratch, you're going to get the chance to really do it today. It's very easy. I've started off with the 6 eggs, and I've been beating them with this hand mixer until they're thick, which is probably, I've been beating for about 4 or 5 minutes, and you can see they're kind of frothy. To that, I'm going to add 2 cups of sugar, and I'm going to keep beating. Mix that in, perfect. And now we're going to add 2 cups of flour. And I'm going to kind of, oh, there we go. I'm going to keep stirring it so that it will blend in nicely. There we go. The hot milk cake is the easy part. Alright. I'm getting a good batter going here. I'm going to get this all blended. And then, over on the stove right now, I'm going to cut this off 1 second because I'm going to put our hot milk back on because we have a cup of milk and a stick of butter in a saucepan. And what we're going to do is, we're going to pour this in while it's hot. We're going to bring it to a boil and pour it right in our cake mix. Alright, I'm left-handed, so this takes a little bit of doing here. I'm putting the cup of milk and melted butter into the cake mix. There we go. It's in. Stir it around. And I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I'm fairly casual with this. We'll see if being casual is going to work. There we go. And we're going to put a teaspoon of vanilla. There we go. And then, stir this around. It is blended. You know, we have to kind of get used to having scratch cakes because they look different. They don't have any chemicals in them. All they have is just eggs, butter, milk. There we go. And we got our third one here. Put a little bit more in that one, a little bit more in this one, and we'll see. As I said, don't be scared that your batter is a little bit thin, because it's a homemade cake. I'm going to put them in 375 degrees, and they will cook for approximately 12 minutes until they're light brown on top. And we're going to get them over here, the cake's out of the oven, and they are starting to get brown on the top. I took a thin piece of wire, tested them, and they're breaking away from the sides. I think when you cool cakes, you need to get them on a cooling rack or up on another pot. And I think the rule of thumb is to let them cool for about 10 minutes before you try and get them out of the pan. Otherwise, they're going to tear and stick. So we're letting them cool right now, and then we're going to make our lemon cheese filling. Cakes are out of the oven and they're cooling, and they look pretty good. So now we're going to make the lemon cheese filling. And you know, Aunt Pat was a little loose on these directions. So this is maybe harder than any other part of the cake. Take a juice of a lemon in a heavy pot. Let me get out my seed there. And we're going to add a cup of sugar to this. And then we're going to bring this to a boil over high heat. And then we're going to add a tablespoon of cornstarch and stir until it thickens. This is the tricky part, because we don't know exactly how thick to get it. I know one time I made the lemon cheese filling, and it turned into sort of a loblolly, to be perfectly honest. So, because I cooked it too long. I think your biggest danger with a lemon filling is going too far. Better to have it a little runny than to have it gummy up. So we've got this electric stove that we're bringing up to heat this sugar. And we got a tablespoon of cornstarch, which we're going to add as soon as it comes to a boil. I think it's come to a boil. We're going to put that cornstarch in there right now. And I'm going to stir it. It's kind of lobbed up there a little bit. And we're going to keep stirring it until it's dissolved. We're going to cut that heat also. And in fact, I'm going to take it off that electric heat. It is a challenge cooking with electric. As you know, most of the great chefs do cook with gas. But I think traditionally in Miami, or in South Florida, there must have been some way that gas was not distributed as well as electricity. Because predominantly, although now that has changed and people do have gas appliances, but you miss the gas for cooking. You can do it though, and Aunt Pat certainly cooked on electricity. All my relatives did. And if it runs a little bit, that's okay. Better to have runny lemon cheese filling than, all right. I say that now, but when we put it on the cake and it runs everywhere, it's going to be sort of a mess. She didn't give us a temperature, but I bet there's a temperature that if we knew what it was, we'd know how hot this has to be. I'm going to do it. Now we're going to make our boiled frosting. Our lemon cheese is kind of setting up in the refrigerator, and we're going to put in 1.5 cups of sugar and 1/2 cup of water. There we go. And we're going to bring this to a boil. And on this one, Aunt Pat did give us a temperature. Let me grab it here. 265 degrees. So we're going to dissolve it, and we're going to put in a tablespoon of Karo syrup too. Just because it seems like the thing to do. I have already beaten the egg whites stiff. And they're ready, because what's going to happen is after we get this up to 265, we're going to slowly pour this over the egg whites, and we're going to keep beating it until it stiffens up. We're just about there. There we go. We have hit it. We're at 265. Now this is the tricky part. We don't want to hurt ourselves. We're going to slowly pour this into the eggs. I think we got it in. We're going to turn off this electric burner, and we're going to beat for about 3 or 4 minutes. I've been beating our frosting for a good 4 or 5 minutes, and it is getting pretty stiff. And you've got to realize that this is homemade frosting, so it isn't always quite as stiff as you might like from a mix. And I'm going to take, part of this frosting, just a little bit, and I'm going to add some raisins and some pecans, which is the Lady Baltimore filling. But I'm fixing this for a variety of people, and some of them do not like nuts or raisins. So I'm just going to put that on part of the cake. And I've marked it here with straws so that I will know where I put that filling. So I'm going to put a little of that right in that section, just so we can taste what it is like to have the Lady Baltimore filling with the pecans. I didn't use any cherries, and this is thickening up now. We're going to take a little bit more and just put the plain frosting here. Okay. Whoa. There we go. And now we're going to put it. Oh, it did just right. We're going to take a layer and put it right on top. And then we're going to take this wonderful lemon cheese filling and put it right here. I can see that this cake's going to move around a little bit, but that's okay. It's going to be fine. Let's spread that. We've got a lot of lemon cheese here. Maybe more. And it doesn't matter whether you put it on which layer you put it on there. I put it on the top one because I thought this was going to shift a little bit more. Probably should have put it on the inside one. But there we go. Now we're going to take the top layer and put that on top. And we're going to take the rest of the frosting. Whoa! It's sliding. It is sliding, which it will tend to slide a little bit. We're going to kind of get that to hold down there. Oh my gosh, that frosting, that lemon is going to be going all over the place, which is fantastic. Put a little over here. We got the top of the cake done. Now we're going to try and come down the sides, which could be interesting because everything is floating. We're going to end up with lemon filling coming down the sides. And you know, I'm not so sure that's half bad. We're going to put a little on the top here. Whoa. And you will see that Aunt Pat's cake does kind of slide around a little bit. But that's what makes it fun. And I'm going to put it like that. I'm going to show you another trick with Aunt Pat's cake. Because while it's setting up, and her cakes did tend to do this, by the way, because they are a homemade cake. And they don't go perfectly. There we go. We're going to put that around there. Oh my gosh. Also, this frosting is going to kind of set up. It does an interesting thing where it's sort of... All right, get back on there, baby. Okay. The frosting will become... It's different. It doesn't stay soft. So don't be prepared for that. But it's delicious and it's wonderful. It stays nice for a long time. Oh, this is looking good. And we have just about the right amount of frosting. Fortunately, we did have a temperature that made a real difference on baking this cake. We still got our markers there. Let's see if I'm going to get that. Now, I was going to find my chopsticks, and I didn't go and look for them. So, what I would suggest is if you have some leftover chopsticks from some Chinese meals, that you put them right on top. I'm going to wash my hands just a second here so I can function a little bit better. Okay, we're going to find some chopsticks. I think I may have one or two in here. Let me look and see. I do. I have some nice chopsticks. And I'm going to brace this cake just a little bit while it's setting up. There we go. And there is Aunt Pat's homemade cake. Looking pretty good. It's not quite, because it's a homemade cake. And there it is, your hot milk cake, courtesy of Aunt Pat. Thank you, Aunt Pat. You must have blessed this today, because it came out pretty good.